Hi, my name is Ellie I also go by Ellie usually, and I'm an incoming grad in art and ecology. I was born in Burgas, Bulgaria, which is a small town on the Black Sea, and I moved to the US at the age of 4, where I was raised and have lived in Chicago until I moved to Albuquerque last month. I'm at an interesting moment in my practice where I think I actually have finished answering most of the questions I was asking over the past few years, and I'm in the process of formulating new ones. This is a shift that came, of course, with the pandemic, where a lot of people's priorities have shifted, but upon arriving to school and beginning to think about what I'm trying to work on right now, I realized that the ideas and questions that I applied to grad school with and that I expected to spend the past several months working on and thinking about were not what is resonating with me most right now. And I fought against that pretty hard at first, and then I accepted it, and then I became really excited by the possibilities that it opened for me. My body of work over the past few years has focused mostly on the senses and on smell in particular. I believe smell to be a really powerful skill for survival that our bodies have that we're taught not to pay attention to. And I think that scent actually has a lot of potential for disrupting systems of power, for example, by using it as a tool for communication or for navigation in a way that can easily circumvent infrastructure of surveillance. But a prerequisite for opening up these possibilities is getting people to focus on their sense of smell and to train their noses so you can collectively explore the full possibility of what scent can do. And this sort of prep work is where a lot of my work has been focused on over the past few years. I find smell to be a really social medium, and I've done a lot of work with it in a game format, making either physical, tangible games or more participatory games that activate a space. The main game project that I've worked on recently, it was called Doom, and it was a scent board game, and I really loved working on it. I loved the process of working on it, and it was probably like the most large-scale thing I've ever worked on. But actually what I have liked most about it is these workshops that I've done since finishing the game. In the past year, I've done them in a couple different locations where a group of people gather in a space, and I teach them how to play the game, and then we play it, and then they work to create their own versions of it based on my own. And that's a process that I love so much because I love collaborative thinking and making, and I think it's really exciting to stretch the process of collaboration even after you think that the project is finished, and to see what openings there still can be for people to build upon what you've made. Going off of that, I love collaboration in all forms, and I've worked almost solely in collaborative structures over the past few years. So another big shift in the way I'm starting to work now is that I'm making the intentional decision to orient towards working on my own. At least now, during the beginning of grad school, I care really deeply about collaborative work, and I think that is a form that I thrive in, and that I'm consistently surprised by and stretched by and transformed by. And I think ultimately it will be the predominant form that I'll continue to work in long term, but I want to take this physical and mental space of being in grad school to sort of recalibrate myself within a solo studio practice and like re-explore and center my own voice and brain outside of like an intentional process of influence from other people. And finally getting to my work going forward, I think it will still be very centered around these ideas of play and communication and cooperation as strategies for survival, but I'll look at them through different subject matter and mediums. After spending years working mostly with scent, which is a pretty immaterial medium, I'm really excited to re-enter the world of physicality and to include more objects into my work. And after thinking so much about the senses and human senses, particularly as a strategy and like superpower for survival, I'm looking at non-human survival strategies that we can learn from, particularly those animals that are like super ubiquitous and common, and like resilient to a point that we find them to be a nuisance, like common birds and bugs. And on a pretty different note, I'm also following a thread that I loosely started talking at earlier this year about money systems and how to use art as a way to question people's attachments and relationships to money, as well as a tool for economic justice and wealth redistribution.